in camera view and in physical record using primarily this. There will be occasional bug out moment here, maybe a screen capture that shows it's not there, but we're going to keep this screen up so you can see me, and there we go with that whole performance issues. Just ignore that. That comes on almost every time. Anyway, so I mentioned that I was going to get back on topic to the Tegu Lizard just to cover my previous video as to what that is and why it's not good for the state of Florida, so that everybody understands from my last ending topic. I'm not just focusing on Muscovy ducks, okay? So we're going to get in here. We're going to look at the Tegu Lizard and their problem in Florida. So they are invasive and they have heavy impacts on native wildlife, which I didn't even know because this came up in, later, this year, even though they've been around for a while. So they are not protected in Florida except by anti-cruelty law, so they can be humanely killed on private property with landowner permission. So similar to Muscovy ducks, they're not a protected animal, but they are protected by animal cruelty laws because, again, they're invasive. So people fighting for these, I don't see that happening. I'm sure there'll be some who do, but why are they a problem? They are likely to spread exotic parasites to native wildlife. They don't have scientific research, but they're basically understanding that there is a contamination to crops and that they often carry salmonella, which is not good. Just in the general sense that they can spread that bacterial disease to plants, wildlife, crops, and infest that on crops. And if you see why we have frozen things in the grocery store that often scream salmonella, it's not because the Tegu lizards are infesting specifically Florida crops that we get our food from. Most of our food comes from way out Midwest, where, excuse me, let me point out something really sad going out in the Midwest. Midwest, dry landscape picture of the United States. Okay, this is not too pretty. Oh my God, United States. Okay, so this is terrible. Like, most of our crops and most of the food that we get comes from the Midwest. All those farmers, those blue-collar workers that are busting their rear end, they're trying to make a living and make ends meet. And while everybody on the West Coast and East Coast is getting heavy bombardments of rain, excessive rain, too much rain, you got the dry Midwest. Okay, so a general image, a perfect image of this, of what's happening, not just general pictures of what's going on. I'm sure not all of these are going to be a perfect capture of this. But you're going to have situations where you're having this problem right here, okay? The excessive heat during the summer and the problem with what's going on out here. So, see, we're getting precipitation over here in Florida. They're getting extreme drought and wildfires over here because that's just the way the sun, hits the earth in that exact angle. You have deforestation, which is the removal of trees, so that all that's left behind is the sedimentary soil of that native land. And most of that soil, if any soil, is not sustainable to really absorbing a lot of that heat, or in a good way, positively giving it much beneficial growth, or, procreative foundation to grow anything. Meaning, a lot of the times that sunlight will just burn, scorch, and burn that surface area and evaporate much of any moisture or precipitation that could ever form. So you can forget about fungi and mold issues. You're talking about severe drought. So back on the topic of Tegu lizards and why I ran off topic. It's just about the subject point I made was that crops that are affected are probably not all from Florida. They are not poisonous. I know that for a fact. So people asking that, they do not produce venom. They will perform a threat display if they are upset or bothered, which I'm sure is flicking the tongue and puffing their neck. If they feel violated, which I've seen from Coyote Ugly. If you've never seen his videos, check them out. They are also more cold tolerant than other reptile species. So Tegu lizard, cold tolerance. Okay, so they can actually withstand in cold as they prefer 80 to 90 degrees during the day. They can actually questions that they have. They can actually survive. Oh, look at this! They found their way into Georgia. Oh, fantastic. Not. So we started this problem in Florida, from what I understand, and they have now spread to Georgia. I didn't even know about that, so that's not good. No, as if it's bad enough they were worried about Burmese pythons taking over the entire southern hemisphere. They have officially invaded Georgia now. And let's see, the Tegu Lizard. That has... It says they tolerate cold, and they can spread farther than pythons. It says here you can even drop your temperature down to 10 degrees Celsius, which I believe is 25 degrees. 10 degrees Celsius to Fahrenheit? 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, I'm way off. My math is terrible. 20. 50 degrees Fahrenheit, so there you go. They can survive in 50-degree temperatures for a lizard. That's pretty chilly. That's pretty cold for any lizard. So, tolerance, lowest temp. I don't know why they have... Oh, there you go. They can survive in temperatures as low as 35 degrees. Pythons can't do that. So, pythons' lowest temperature tolerance. Tolerance. I'm just having a terrible time this late. So they basically stop being able to perform at a successful amount when it starts to drop below 60 degrees. So, you know, pythons don't really have a chance to survive in the northern hemisphere right now, but with climate change and all that other stuff, that's their real problem. But let's get back into the topic of why Tegu lizards. Why are they a problem for Florida? So, they have their cold tolerance. Where is it? There you go. They nest in attics. Nobody likes that. Nobody wants these things crawling up in your attic. They destroy vegetation, leave poop behind, and can be a danger to certain native wildlife, which means they're poop and other types of native wildlife that have that problem. So, here on the main website, their main issue, the main problem, is that they basically are here. They're basically eating alligator eggs, which is bad for the alligator. The alligator is already having to compete against the Burmese python, which I did hear about this, but I didn't know if it was accurate. So they have found out that they actually target alligator eggs. They'll even go for tortoises, which if you love tortoises or turtles, you don't want turtles dying out or being pushed away because you have this tenacious little lizard that can just eat just about everything. They gobble it up. You know, all these eggs, they love eggs, so that makes them omnivores. In any sense, like most lizards, you know, they'll eat meat or vegetation. They do have a large problem with the offspring birthing, which is what Muscovy ducks, as to why I covered that topic with them in my last video, but didn't get too deep into it. They can breed quite a lot. And this is why in my final video, I'm going to put my testimony to Muscovy ducks, which is why I've never actually done any research on Tegu, but I learn about it from here. You know, and they always talk about, like, if you're going to have a problem with an animal, always be sure to, you know, put it through the exotic pet amnesty program. So, you know, because there's a permit rule for a lot of these types of exotic pets. Now, we're going to get off the topic of Tegu, and we're going to get straight into the Muscovy duck. So, I personally do not like Muscovy ducks because of the personal issue that they've caused for the native wildlife around here, namely the brown spotted duck, which I want to talk more about in case you liked that from my last video, why they are such an issue, and of the two, what is the biggest problem. So the molted duck in Florida, yeah, that's what they call it. Here's a purebred, quite beautiful, you know, quite beautiful. We already saw those pictures. So they themselves, their population purebred. I know a lot of people, they're not all too excited about purebred. Purebred. I'm not even spelling that right. So Here we go. This is 2000. They're in danger of extinction. So native molted ducks were back in 2003, long before Muscovies even came in there. They were in fear of becoming in extinction because people would try to crossbreed them. They would try to buy the ducklings and then re-release them, and it would cause an interference with interbreeding with other species. So these wouldn't even be purebreds, and it would cause a big problem. And this is what's so sad. Muscovies should follow the same standard. People are breeding these ducks, allowing them to be bred, and then releasing them into the wild. And what do you think Muscovy ducks do? They will crossbreed with other species, and that's one of their biggest problems. So the molted duck is the same thing. And of course, this is really old. This is, well, not recently old, but it's fairly old. And it's 6 months old. Yeah, see right here, even these contests. Exactly right. And I totally like this comment. I'm going to reply. I'm going to say, exactly. Exactly. It's a double standard. I am trying to fight for the ban or restriction of people who breed Muscovy ducks. Release them, continue to feed them, and or wrongfully treat them as a pest. I'd like to call it it's a stalemate situation, whereas many don't even want to get involved. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm just posting that because, like, I fully agree with this lady right here. Here's the thing. With Muscovy ducks, and I'm so glad there's a female out there voicing her concern because she's educated. She knows. She's like, well, what about these Muscovy ducks? See, I'm not the only one. I'm not just making these videos because I'm just talking a bunch of junk. There's real life concern over this. So like when you take a Muscovy duck, and notice how very few people even talk about this because people don't want to get involved with this. They don't want to talk about it. But the Muscovy duck, what I firsthand witnessed in my neighborhood, these ducks would come in. They would sit in camp. They would sit on the shoreline and even compete with the brown-spotted molted duck, of which I understand is not even a purebred. It's a hybrid now, and these hybrids have become established in the population because the purebred versions of those ducks, they're hard to find, hard to come by. You can always tell a purebred from a hybrid. So I don't even know if any of these people, even think about it. Yep, and I like that as well. And I'm sure there's what? People are trying to they're talking about like, oh, they're supposed to be here and someone there, and then they got people here again. It's a double standard. I'll say Muscovy duck people, Muscovy duck people who love them, who love them, and create petitions and fight for them, are making a clear double standard. These Muscovy ducks, aka and again, here I am talking to people that probably don't even care about it. It's the Cairna Moschata. It's actually the last name is Moschata. Were discovered in South America and Mexico. Not even close to us in the United States. United States. Here, now in Florida, some people, people, as always, brought non-native birds here, including the infamous Muscovy duck. Yes. Trying to fix all these typos, errors. They don't. The Cairna. I want to make sure I'm spelling this right because, like, scientific name. I'm always having problems. It's Cairna, Cair, Cair. And I realize in this, it's kind of hopeless to really expect anybody to want to listen to you, because when they start blabbing and running their mouths about what their beliefs are and their points and opinions, they tend to think that they are only right. Cairnia, and then Moschata. South America. Yeah. Back in, and I can't forget this date. It's crazy. Back in 1758. 1758 by... I feel bad for this man. Because, you know what? This guy that discovered these ducks, he didn't even have to worry about there being invasive species problems. Because back in that time, we as humans weren't even... 1758? Are you kidding me? They literally, literally back in that time, they were so premature in the world. It was Carl Linnaeus. Yeah, right. Carl... And he's not even a man. Carl Linnaeus. Is that even right? Linnaeus, yeah. So to all you claiming they existed here before, no, not by natural selection. Not, comma, not even close in the United States. They are a part of a people issue that is growing. It's completely double standard. It's completely double standard. Yeah, I mean, it is actually completely double standard. I am working right now hard as I can to humanely find a resolve between people, I'll say people who love Muscovies, and people who hate them. To capture and relocate to sanctuaries. Man, my goodness, I'm having a bad time. See, I make typo errors. What can I say? Sanctuaries and habitat farms for them. They are a ever-growing issue, as they breed 3 times, and this is true, 3 times more than any other waterfowl species. Man, I cannot spell for Jack Diddley, and here it is. And I realize this doesn't really make a lot of sense why I make a video of me going out there and trying to make points, but there's a reason for this, okay? You gotta spread awareness. People are spreading ignorance right now. So, and there's also Save the Manatees. Like, hello, like, we don't even think about the poor manatees. I have been researching and observing a broad countywide, we'll say countywide observation in my county of Brevard of on this matter. If you are not educated, look up the Florida wildlife control and see they are polarized, stuck on this issue. They cannot remove them, nor can they authorize or mandate a removal, a ban. This is due to a stalemate circumstance, matter of people coming together to find common ground. Yeah, common ground. We'll say Muscovy ducks deserve no extra special treatment than do Tegu lizards or Burmese pythons. Yeah, and that just simply means that none of these species, I'll say quite frankly, not one of these invasive classifications. I'll say classification. Yeah, classifications. Classification of species. Man, I cannot spell for crap. Species is helping Florida. It's helping Florida's native Florida's wildlife, but only harming it. Ducks can do damage. Believe it or not, and it's due to the way Muscovies tend to breed so heavily and not move from locations. They settle in, and they take over, and this displaces other waterfowl, contaminates water areas, and leads to bacteria spread from their poop. FWC is a clear lead point on this, advising people not to feed them or breed them. People are doing it anyway. People are doing it anyway. I am fighting to help. So let's bring level heads together. I am glad everyone above kept it civil. And that's what I'm going to say in my big ass essay. Anyway, all I can really come down to point is that Muscovy ducks, to their core nature, are naturally aggressive. I firsthand witnessed this. They actually personally chased out these brown-spotted ducks, took over the entire area, and then when predators like coyotes, like somebody even mentioned in here, like they'll, they will, yeah, this point right here, this guy right here, says right here they're aggressive species. This was 6 months ago. They're released in the ecosystem. They drive out other native species and reproduce like rabbits. And it's so true. I've seen them. They grow massive populations in a small controlled area once they settle in. And the ones that we got up here, they're already having been released, I think, from private farmers and people that have them in their areas. Just like those Craigslist posts that I pulled up. These people can't stand them. And they're like, oh, we're just going to get rid of them and let them fly away. They don't clip their wings. They don't keep them under control. They don't try to humanely keep them in a controlled circumstance, or even consider for the older ones putting them down or serving them up as food that could be repopulated. Not saying that's the right way to go, but don't let an animal go to waste. And I mean, for his point here, they are not annoying normally, no, but they can be a huge problem. They will not move. They'll stand out in the road. They will sit there and camp. And I'm going to tell you right now, I've seen more detrimental harm come to native Florida aquatic wildlife areas, even in a small ecosystem like an HOA area that I live in. Okay, we're not even talking about the wild itself, just in my own environment. That's as close as I get to the wild. Trust me, I know. I'm not that experienced, but from what I've seen, I've learned from a domestic home life situation, being single, not having any work to go through, COVID taking away all those opportunities, watching and observing on the sidelines the impacts of these kinds of things that go on in nature down here in Florida. So, as a quick summary and a final point, thanks to everybody who kept the level-headed discussion here, there's a huge double standard, okay? And we've got to do something about this. It's not about killing them or doing harm to them, or let alone people being allowed to keep them and continue breeding them for those who are worried about those issues. It's about keeping a control and mitigating them just the same, and pushing away all this nonsense about allowing them to stay and fighting for their rights and stuff like that, unless of course they are inhumanely treated. And I'm going to tell you right now, the most barbaric thing that I've ever seen on the internet is Muscovy duck clubbing. Yep, they even say that some of these pest control services will club them, and they say how to kill a Muscovy duck, like just asking this question, like anybody that doesn't know. And they'll say right here, it can be used by carbon monoxide, pellet guns, cervical dislocation, which is terrible. Like what? Breaking the neck or spine, usually by hand or with a club. Now, I don't agree with that stuff. I don't. Carbon monoxide poisoning, yeah, but it says it must be done humanely. Now, if you can't break an animal's nose into its brain, just like with a human, like you're literally talking about somebody popping somebody's nose up into their skull. Not happening. Not going to fly. Quick short summary here is my main focus is all that other stuff is nonsense. It's ridiculous. It doesn't work because you upset people, and it doesn't get anything done but cause more problems and drama and gossip and rabble. The main thing you get down to here is safely capturing, safely relocating, and removing them. Here's your problem in Florida. People are lovers of them. People are haters of them. You have organizations that either are overworked, understaffed, or cannot hold any more. So they can't even step into the middle of it. You got wildlife trappers that don't want to get wet. They don't want to go in the water. And I understand it. They don't want to go out there with a net or deal with these ducks. So they don't even want to deal with the problem. So guess where the problem falls on? Basically, the management staffs at HOAs and boards, which I'm dealing with right now. My board president in my HOA basically told me he doesn't want me getting involved with these ducks because my honest belief is he doesn't care about the problem. He understands my concern, for one of which had to do with an injured female duck that was wrongfully shot, and I tried to step in and get involved, okay? And it turns out I'm helpless. So the only thing I can do now is try to reach out and get more support and push for this to get something done. And I want to be the guy that does that. So I hope you guys support me, my cause, and my channel, and certainly hope that my word will spread about trying to do what's right for Florida's native wildlife crisis. And that even includes ducks that most people say aren't all that dangerous. I'm really glad this person's comment on Facebook clearly pointed it out right there, that they are an aggressive species that humans have released into the ecosystem. They drive out any native species and reproduce like rabbits. Couldn't have said it better. And they even go through as far to say that they point out that people feed them and they become like a pest. So do your research before you just assume you know things about problems and issues, and totally find the common sense there, there and all the same there. So thank you again. And Hope you'll continue watching. I'm going to conclude this and conclude this video as a final finale. Thank you on this issue.